Now let's mark our fabric for our buttonhole. So we'll take our button and lay it on the fabric wherever you want to put your buttonhole. And then at the bottom of your button, make a line. Now we'll take a ruler, and to the top of our line, we'll draw another line, making a T. Now we're ready to sew our buttonhole. To make a buttonhole, we need to change our presser foot. Inside your removable storage compartment, you'll find your buttonhole foot. At the top of your foot is an adjustable slider. We can take the button that we plan on using and place it right there in your foot, and now we can slide so that our foot secures our button. Now we need to remove our current presser foot, and we'll just gently push from the back. And now we can put on our buttonhole foot. So we'll slide that under, and then we'll put the metal bar through the groove and snap it into place. Now we need to select our buttonhole stitch. So using our stitch selection dial, we'll turn to the image of the buttonhole. Now we're going to turn the stitch length dial to the buttonhole zone. You can put it wherever you want within the buttonhole zone. Depending upon your project, you can set your stitch length to be closer together or farther apart. So now let's sew our buttonhole. Now we're ready to stitch out our buttonhole. We have our marked fabric with our upside down T. The bottom of your T will be where the bottom of your buttonhole will stitch. We have our buttonhole foot on our machine, and our stitches are set to the buttonhole. So now let's place our fabric under our presser foot, and we're going to line the bottom of your T into the hole right underneath your needle. So when you get that lined up, we can lower our presser foot, and then we have one last important step. You have a buttonhole lever at the back of your machine that you want to pull all the way down. And now just reading it, it tells us to push, so we're going to push that to the back. And now we're ready to sew out our buttonhole. Our buttonhole is finished, so we can raise our needle. Now we can raise the presser foot. And we're just going to pull that to the side. And using our cutter at the side, we're going to trim our thread. And the final step to finish your buttonhole is to find your starting thread. I'm just taking a pair of scissors, we're going to trim back close to our fabric. And now you'll want to have a hand needle handy, and thread your hand needle with the finishing thread from your buttonhole. And thread it through the eye of your hand needle, and then sew it to the back of your fabric, and then tie a knot or tie off your stitch so that your buttonhole will not unravel. If you want to make additional buttonholes, repeat this process and just mark another T, place it under your foot, and the only other thing you need to do is to push back your lever again. So anytime you go to make an additional buttonhole, push back your buttonhole lever. A quick tip for cutting open your buttonhole is to take a pin and right under your bar tack stitch, place your pin through your fabric. And now we can use the seam ripper that's included with your machine. And going from the bottom of our buttonhole, we can just go all the way up. And the pin prevents us from cutting through our stitches at the top of our buttonhole. So now you can take your pin out and your buttonhole is open.